Quick question. Has anyone ever looked you straight in the eye, asked you something super innocent, and for some reason your gut just screamed, something's off? You couldn't explain it, you couldn't prove it, but deep down, you knew they weren't telling the truth. Yeah, we've all been there. And if you haven't, just wait. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Liars don't walk around with neon signs on their heads. They don't always twitch or fidget or give it away with a smirk like some movie villain. The really dangerous ones? They're smooth, they're confident, and guess what? They often hide behind questions. Yep, you heard that right. Liars don't always lie with their answers. Sometimes the biggest red flags are in the questions they ask you. So today, I want to tell you about 5 specific questions, yes, actual, real phrases that liars often ask. Not always, but often enough that you should never ignore the feeling when one of these pops up in a conversation. You ready? Let's unpack this together. Now, before we dive in, I'm not here to turn you into a paranoid mess. This isn't about distrusting everyone or second-guessing your closest people. It's about tuning into that inner compass, your intuition, that so many of us have been taught to ignore. Because here's the thing, liars rely on your silence, they depend on your doubt, and most of all, they weaponize your good nature, your tendency to give people the benefit of the doubt. That's why they ask these kinds of questions, not to learn more about you, but to deflect, confuse, or manipulate. And once you see these patterns, it's hard to unsee them. This one. You're in a conversation, maybe you just caught someone in a half-truth, or something sketchy doesn't add up, and they hit you with this, why would I lie? Notice what's happening here. They're not actually denying that they lied. They're not giving you any clarity. They're turning the burden of proof back on you. It's clever, it's subtle, it sounds innocent, logical even. But the real goal? It's to make you question your instincts. Truthful people usually just tell the truth. They explain, they offer context, they clarify. But someone who's hiding something, they want you to feel guilty for even asking. So if someone asks, why would I lie? Instead of saying, no, I didn't do that, pause for a second. That's not an answer. That's a manipulation tactic dressed up as a question. And once you notice it, it's everywhere. All right, this one hurts because it's loaded with emotion. The moment someone asks you, you don't trust me, especially when you're just trying to clarify something or express a concern, it's a trap. That's not a real question. That's a guilt bomb. It flips the narrative. Suddenly the problem isn't whatever shady thing they did or said. It's your trust issues, your lack of loyalty, your inability to just go with the flow. See how sneaky that is? Now, of course, there are moments in life where this question comes from genuine hurt, but more often than not, when it's paired with evasive behavior or sketchy patterns, it's a tactic. It's designed to make you back off, to shut down your curiosity, to stop asking hard questions. Liars hate hard questions. They thrive in emotional fog. So when someone asks, you don't trust me, ask yourself something instead. Have they actually earned my trust? Because trust isn't something you owe, it's something that's built. Oh, this one's a classic. You confront someone with something real, something valid, maybe even something you've been holding in for a long time, and they go, why are you being so dramatic? Translation? Stop making this a big deal so I don't have to face it. It's a gaslight in disguise. You're not allowed to be hurt. You're not allowed to feel what you feel, because they get to decide what's reasonable, and if your feelings don't fit into that box, they're invalid. Let me say this loud. If someone constantly dismisses your emotions as dramatic or over the top, that's not honesty. That's emotional control. Honest people might get defensive, they might even get hurt, but they'll still hear you out. Liars? They don't want a conversation, they want silence, and they'll shut you down with a question if they have to. Look, I know this might feel intense, but stay with me here. We're not talking about labeling everyone alive just because they say something similar. It's not about the words themselves, it's about patterns, tone, timing, repetition. It's about noticing when someone always seems to dodge accountability, not with a denial, but with a clever question that makes you second-guess reality. And when you start paying attention, it's wild how often these show up. This one usually shows up after a confrontation, when you finally bring something to the surface. Maybe it took you weeks, months, even years to get there, and instead of honesty, you get, "Can't we just move on?" Now hear me out. Forgiveness is powerful, moving on is healthy, but skipping the truth? That's dangerous. Liars love the idea of moving on because it means skipping the consequences. It means you stop pressing, you stop remembering, you stop caring. But real resolution doesn't come from rushing past discomfort. It comes from walking through it, together. If someone always pushes to move on the moment things get uncomfortable, they're not trying to heal, they're trying to escape. This one's a little more subtle, but it cuts deep. You tell someone how they hurt you, you lay it all out, honestly, vulnerably, and instead of ownership, they go, "So what do you want me to say?" It sounds like surrender, but it's not. It's actually deflection disguised as cooperation. Because here's what's really happening. They're not engaging, they're not reflecting, they're not thinking about how their actions impacted you. They're just waiting for a script, for you to feed them the right words so they can say them, move on, and never truly change. It's like they're saying, "Fine, I'll say what you want, just so you'll drop it." But honesty doesn't sound like that. Honesty says, "I get it. I hear you. Let's talk about it." So now that we've walked through these 5 shady questions, what do you do about it? How do you protect yourself without becoming cold or closed off? How do you stay open and wise at the same time? We'll get into that in just a bit. But first, let me ask you something, genuinely. Has someone ever asked you one of these questions and it didn't sit right? Because if so, that moment mattered. You felt something for a reason, and you owe it to yourself to start trusting that.